Welcome to Season 2 of the Pull Hook Golf Podcast. Here's your hosts, Matt Cook and Bobby Brown. Welcome back, everybody, to Pull Hook Golf, the podcast. This is episode number 31. Mr. Bobby Brown. We've got, today we're going to be talking about the Shriners Children's Open, and I didn't even introduce myself, but for people that have been living under a rock, I'm Matthew Cook. I am one of the hosts of the show, Mr. Bobby Brown, PGA Tour caddy for Mr. Troy Merritt out there. Bobby is the other co-host on here with me, and we're just trying to keep it real on a weekly basis, right, Bobby?
Yeah, we keep it real for sure.
I mean, we do.
Keep it too real sometimes.
Yeah, a little. So every once in a blue moon, it's a little bit too real, but that's what the people want. So we give the people what they want. Now, we're going to be going over, last week we finished up the Shriners Children's Open out in Las Vegas. That was run by my buddy Brian Hawthorne, who's the GM out there. So I want to get the inside scoop from you, Bobby, on course conditions and so forth. But then we're going to be talking about the Zozo Championship over in Japan. We've got LIV Golf Bangkok that just finished up last weekend. And my God, the official World Golf Rankings, it seems like this is going to be its own rivalry outside of the PGA. It seems like the PGA Tour doesn't even need to be involved in this rivalry anymore. The official World Golf Rankings have kind of taken the championship belt here and run with it. So we'll see how that plays out. We'll talk about that a little bit. How about your boy DJ getting an 18 million? This is almost embarrassing, Bobby.
I used to caddy for him.
Yeah.
I wonder, you think man, he stroked out his brother a check for 1.8 million, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, at least throw you a Rolex.
If it was me, it gave me $500,000 and told me to go fuck myself, that I should be lucky to get it. And I would have said, thank you very much. I'll take it.
Can you believe in those 6 events? So not only the $18 million for locking up, it pays to have been there from the start, apparently.
Oh,
because
that's obvious.
He's only got 5 top 10s, and one of those was a win. And he's already won the individual championship because half the people didn't arrive until 3 events in. So...
Well, he's head and shoulders the best player. Well, him. I know Cam's doing a clunker. Are we getting too far ahead of ourselves right now?
We are 100%, but that's how we roll. And then we're going to be talking about, is it Jeddah? Is that the right way to say it? I think it is. I looked it up. I actually, I'm baiting you right now. It's Jeddah. So that's the event in Saudi Arabia that's coming up. That's going to be the end event for it, but the individual championship's already locked up. It's a little messy, but we'll talk about that. I'll clue in the audience around what to expect around that stuff. But let's kick it off with the Shriners Children's Open that wrapped up at the end of the weekend. And Bobby, take us through. So course conditions wise, because you were telling us on the last episode, they shaved everything down. They planted all new grass and everything. It took a long time to get that done. How were the course conditions?
They were great. I mean, it was perfect. The only real surprise that caught any of us off guard, and these guys are so good, they pick up on shit after a day or two anyways, best players in the world. But remember how we were talking, that I was telling you I was sure that it was wall-to-wall Bermuda? Well, I was right on the one of the wall parts all the way up to the greens, and then I found out that it was some funky bent greens, that a word that I'd never heard.
Was it the Penn? The Penn hybrid that they use, because that's become a very popular. It came out of Penn State.
Okay, Nittany Lions. Well, we don't want to bring up Penn State shit. That's for
big agriculture school for golf course management.
I didn't know that. Well, there you go. I learned something new today. But conditions were great. The course was in fabulous shape. We had a little bit of that Bermuda rut, sinky to the bottom. It wasn't very deep, a couple inches, but if you hit it in the wrong spot, you could, balls jump out there. They come out super fast. So you have to defend against that. The one big thing that really comes to mind was
do share.
That course being closed for 9 months ahead of time with the grass. So we played on Tuesday and we played practice round on Wednesday. He looked okay. He looked just fine to me. Actually, he played. He played the fronts. He played the backside on Tuesday and he played the front side of the Pro-Am. We do these 9 and 9 Pro-Ams now, not 18 holes. And he shot 6 under, so he looked like he was right where he needed to be. And there was a lot of grass on these new greens the first 2 days, like on Tuesday and Wednesday. Like they hadn't really.
They
They
didn't
were
want
still
them to burn
rolling
out over the
nice, and
weekend.
they what's that?
They
Man,
didn't want them.
I got to tell you, when Thursday rolled around, it was a whole different ball game because you could tell they double cut them, and they probably double rolled them, and definitely caught us off guard. And when I mean us, I don't just mean Troy and myself. I mean, we were playing with Brian Harmon and Wyndham Clark also, and they were struggling putting the first day because putts were getting putts would look like they were going 2 feet by, and they ended up going 6 feet by, and they were firm, and they were bouncing everything that we expected. I've probably been there 11 or 12 times, and you get certain things memorized and certain breaks and certain speeds memorized. And there was just little tweaky differences. Putts weren't breaking as much. They were slower in some spots. They were faster in some spots. But we got off to a fucking horrible start.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
a
saw
horrible
that,
start.
Bobby.
We
I
teed
hate
off
to
on number.
say it.
Oh, let me just go over it for you because I'm still
Yeah.
fucking pissed off 5 days later. What's today? Wednesday? Thursday in Japan.
Today's Wednesday. You had the
Yeah.
Disney debacle.
I'm gonna go into that too, but I'm gonna make one comment about Disney. When you take young ones like a 5-year-old and a 9-year-old, Disney should fucking pay you to go deal with all that bullshit. That's my comment on that. Oh my God, what a disaster that is. Let me get into the golf from the first tee shot that he
Yes.
flared right that I'm thinking is going out of bounds and ends up in the right rough. And when I'm walking down to the ball, I'm like, oh, maybe we caught the path and we got way by the trees. We were stymied between behind one tree, and we had a front left pin, kind of a middle front left pin, and he's over the shot and we're talking about it and that kind of stuff, and he likes to be aggressive sometimes, and famous last caddy words, from the bunker in front of you is fine. I was trying to get him to hit it into just chip it into the front bunker, leave it just in front of the green where Wyndham Clark had hit it in the rough and left it short there too, because he was smart. And I told him, and I don't say these things very often because he's fucking been there for 10 years, but I'm like, you get behind this pin in that back bunker, and but you don't ever really say it's X, but it's basically auto bogey. It's a funky shaped bunker, and the green runs away from you, and it's a short side or whatever. So I went through my spiel, and I'm like, where are you landing this? Final last things, where are you landing this? He goes, I'm just gonna land it short on the collar, let it chase up, hit it a little too hard, barely trickled over the green into that bunker. He didn't think it went in that bunker. I fucking knew it went in that bunker. And we're walking up there, and he goes, oh, that's not that bad, is it? And I really wanted to say, you're fucking making bogey is what you're doing. So he had a bunker shot out there to like 25 feet. And that's when the whole speed of the greens thing showed up, that were different. And he ran that by 4 feet. And we do have that new putter, the new Odyssey in the bag. And then he tried to jam one home, and that went. And the next thing I know, we got like a 6-footer for fucking double bogey. Oh, by the way, you got to shoot 3 or 4 under every single day there just to miss
You do.
cut the first 2 days. So we make a fucking quick double there, which is no big deal. I mean, he did the same thing there last year, but you got plenty of opportunities, especially when you're on the back, right off the bat, because there's a stretch there from 14 home that you can play in for. You got a par 5, you got a tiny par 3, you got a drivable par 4, and then another par 5 that you hit 6 irons into. So no big deal. And then he drove it down the middle on 11, and it's a back pin, and he only hit it 12 yards further than he should have, and air mailed the green and made it sick up and down. Then he hit it in the right rough on 12, and it was an obvious chip out to me because we couldn't even see the ball, and you're trying to cover water 130 yards. You want to know why I'm in a bad mood? Because I didn't fucking say it. Because I didn't just fucking put the bag down and go, just chip it out, just chip it out. I'm giving him all these numbers to cover the water, and thinking, where's this going to end up? And we're looking at the lie, and I'm like, where's the ball at? You could barely see like a third of the ball.
You knew.
I knew. I just had that fucking feeling too. And he's like, no, this is going to come out low. We're under some trees. He's like, this is kind of might come out low. I can get enough club on it. It's going to jump a little bit. And it came out deader than shit, right into the fucking soup, and make another double. And then fucking you're 4 over after 40 minutes when fucking 25 under.
Then you're grinding.
I was pissed. I was so pissed. I never get pissed. But I'm like, okay, fucking focus yourself. You got a hittable par 5 and all these. And then at that point, 45 minutes into the game, I'm already thinking to myself, man, if we play good, we can get back to even par, which would have probably been T80, but you have the next day.
Yeah, but you got a chance.
You got a chance. And he drove it in the fairway bunker on the next hole. And it was just a fucking shit day. And he fought it all the way back. man, he fought it all the way back to like 1 over with 3 or 4 holes to go, which is okay. You know, you're finishing the right way. And then we get to 9, the 9, which is our last hole, our 18th hole, and he piped one down the middle. And I think we had a 5-iron in on a kind of a sketchy pin. You got to miss left, or you got to miss right, or you got to miss long. You know, you can't miss short. And it landed pin high, and the greens were so brick hard and over the back. But I mean, honestly, if I put Matt Cook back there where this ball was, and I gave him 10 chips, Matt Cook's probably getting it up and down for birdie. I'm going to say 6 times, right? And that's Matt Cook, right? Butch Harmon Tour, Matt Cook, who plays a lot of golf, you know. So Troy Merritt's probably
Well, if you listen to some of my friends, I might have hands of a rapist, so you got to be
well,
careful about that.
I saw that on the next chip. So, and then he dumped.
But yes, I would honestly say maybe 50-50. Maybe 5 out of 10. Let's go there. Either it's going to be perfect and I'm going to be about, let's call it a foot away, or it's going to be 20 feet because a rocket went off in my right
20,
hand.
I would have taken 20 feet because we had about 45 feet. He threw it up in the air. He came out of it, and he had about a 45-footer straight downhill. Left that one 6 feet short. Next thing you know, you're walking to the back of the green, and you're like, oh, he's going to get this up and down. We're going to finish it 1 over or even or whatever we were. I don't even remember at this point because I'm trying to fucking flush it all out of my memory right now. And he fucking 3-wiggled that and ended up finishing it 3 over, and I was just fucking bang.
So can I tell you that I watched that, or didn't watch it, I saw it on their 3D like AR like shot by shot pattern. And I couldn't like figure it out. I'm like, what the hell happened? Because I'm just seeing where those shots went, and I'm like, no, why did this go all the way to there? Like, you guys were in great position, and then all of a sudden
that ball landed pin high, but you know, you got a mid-flight 5-iron into a green that runs away, and you got to hold, you know, you just got to hit the right shot, don't you? It didn't end up in a bad spot. As a caddy, if you went around a green on a par 5, which is what we all do anyways, you know where the pins are going to be, and you're like, okay, good 50-50 X. That's usually how it comes out. Good 50-50 X. And it was in a good spot, and he just hit a poor chip. But sometimes he gets a little, you know, that short game probably could, you know, I'll just be honest, even if he's listening to this, that short game could use a little work, you know. And I know, and I've said it before, he's not a big practicer. He's a family man when he gets home and that kind of stuff. But I rode back to the hotel, you know, with his coach, and I was fucking, I don't get pissed very often, you know, because I've been doing this too long, but I was pissed, and I was like, you know, and I'm like, can you just go home? I'm gonna get fired for saying this. I'm like, you just go home. You know, can you take the kids to school and then go fucking chip for 45 minutes or an hour every single day? You know, I read this thing that Nick Saban did, and it's getting me fired up for next week at
Let's hear it.
You know, and what did Nick Saban say? He said something today. He goes, there's you can do 5 things in life, whatever you choose to do. What did he say? You can be average, you can be good. Have you heard this speech that he does?
Yep.
You can be great, you can be excellent, or you can be elite. And he goes through how you can be all those things. And somewhere between, right around number 3 is where my guy falls in, where he can be good or he can be great. But to be elite, Matt, at anything, as you know, whether it's your job or my job or my Lori's job teaching, you have to go the extra mile, don't you? You have to do special things. You know, Max Homa says this all the time. It's one of my favorite lines. Max Homa says, he goes, success leaves clues, doesn't it? Think about that. Success leaves clues. Anytime you're successful at something, you've left a clue on your journey to being successful. So I was going over this with his coach and back to the Aria, and I guess I should be happy because he's an MGM guy. I got comped at the Aria. I didn't have to pay for anything, thank God, because I would have lost my ass. I should have known it was going to be a bad week when I roll into town, and I'm an ex-gambler who doesn't gamble anymore, but my Chargers were playing last year on Thursday night there. I bet $250 to win on them, and they slaughtered somebody, and I bet $250. So I'm like, man, I'm in town. I got to get the urge. And I'm like, I'm betting $50 on the Rams. You know, the guy, you know, the team that won the Super Bowl last year, they suck dick this year. They're horrible. Excuse my language, all you ladies out there, but they're horrible. So I should have known it. I should have known it was going to be a bad one. But you go home Thursday night, you get a good night's sleep, and his coach was like, "Oh, we can shoot 63 or 64." And I was thinking to myself the whole time, and I'm like, I don't see any 63 or 64 out of him right now. I just got to be honest with you. I didn't say that. You know, I wake up the next morning and I'm like, yeah, maybe we can shoot 63 or 64 because it can happen. He shot 65 or 66 in the same position there last year, you know, and missed a cut, excuse me, by 2 or 3 shots. And it just didn't go our way. You know, we made a quick bogey on Friday. We were back and forth. I will say this, he got pissed a couple times. It was nice to see Mr. Mello out there and that kind of stuff beat up the bag a couple times and slammed a couple clubs in the bag because he was getting frustrated. And sometimes when players do that as a caddy, you're like, finally, you know, finally you're going to do that. You're going to show some emotion, and maybe you're going to go home and you're going to think about, you know, hey, I got to do this a little bit better, or I got to do that a little better. But he finished pretty strong. I think he birdied 3 or 4 holes coming, 3 or 4 coming in. I think we finished even, or
you guys were close to the cut line. I mean, you weren't super far off.
It was 4 under. We missed by 4.
I was trying to be nice, Bobby. People might not go back and look. No, I'm kidding. We got to keep it real. I mean, here's the thing.
Be a good caddy someday, kid, if you keep that good attitude of yours.
Yeah, you got to try. But this goes back to when we talked about this when you were first on the show, and you were kind of talking about some of the things around, like the fact that Troy's very much a family man, great golfer, and you know, we started talking a little bit about practice routines and so forth. And guess what's the first thing that always goes? And it's the one thing that you can't. It takes time, and it takes repetition over and over and over again, and that's going to rear its ugly head, especially when you start grinding. And when you start grinding, you're trying to catch up. And you can't afford to have that chip that goes 40 feet past. Like, that is a killer. Like, that's a game changer. You really can't do that. And then all of a sudden you start putting pressure on the swing, and then all of a sudden it leads into the flat stick. So like, these are the things that I feel like he might be going through at the moment.
Well, most importantly, yes, I'm going to agree with all that. But most importantly for my boss and for my team, it is the flat stick that always bails us out. And I've gone through every week. We talk about the same thing. You know, I got my wish. We got the new putter in the bag, but yes, he made some putts with this putter, but he also missed that stereotypical 4 to 6 footer that you had to make, that left to right one. And now I'm watching, and now he's out of them quick. So now I know he's out of them quick. I mean, 2 inches.
That's confidence.
You know, he's out of them quick, and you know, and I'm talking to his coach, and coach is like, I mean, what do you see? And I would tell him that and that kind of stuff. And he was a little skittish, like, into Friday. He's like, yeah, I don't know if it's the right time to tell him, but I think something's up with his posture and that kind of stuff. And I was thinking to myself, and I'm like, hey, but now's a good fucking time.
It's the beginning of the year, Bobby. Like, your form is always going to get out of whack. No, but here's the thing. No. You're not panicking. The problem is that you're seeing things, and things aren't being done to fix them. That's the problem. And in the beginning,
we better stop right now, or I am going to get fired.
Okay, so let's dive in.
You want to know why I'm panicking? Is because the top 70 make the playoffs this year, right? It's not the top 125, which he's got through every single year. That's I know some guys have gone to LIV, but not enough guys have gone to LIV. And I guess I'm just going back to last year in Napa when we got off to the good start and we missed this cut, and it was no big deal, you know, because he was swinging nicely and that kind of stuff. But man, this is golf, and you go through this, and my guy is always going to be the guy that's going to miss 5 or 6 cuts. And you know, the Napa finish wasn't great, but there were a lot of guys that didn't play golf over the weekend at Napa, so I'll take that as a positive. And then last week, I'm just going to throw out the window. And he's never, you know. And finally, I went back to my hotel room after Friday night when I was booking my flights to Disney World. God help me. And
huge
I'm like,
mistake.
Yeah, well, God, it's all about the kids. I got myself
Mickey Mouse attacked you. Did you see the image on the trailer cover for tonight's episode?
No, I missed it.
Oh, it was Mickey blurred in the background. It was very creepy. There was like a light on him and everything. I mean, it's basically Bobby versus Mickey.
Yeah. Mickey wins. Yes.
Mickey won. Lost. Mickey very much won.
And Mickey's never lost. But anyway, so, you know, it's just one of those things where I feel like I'm, you know, why didn't I just get him to chip out on 12?
So that's the $1 million question. And that's sticking with me because
I don't know.
I'm sitting here going, hang on a second. You just heard all the conversations between Tom Kim, who won, Patrick Cantley and his guy. Like, come on, Bobby.
I know.
You know better.
How was that conversation
It's that
between
Caddy
Patrick Cantley?
soft.
How was that conversation between Cantlay and his
Not
man
good.
Griff on
Not good
fucking
at all.
18?
He might
Remember,
be gone.
and I told you about that. I told you this golf
Yeah.
course, even though they shoot the lights off of it, it's fucking sneaky. You know, if you hit one in the fucking desert and you're probably a desert expert, you know the deal. You're like, oh my God, that could be really good, or I could be
We
pinned up.
always say it, Bobby.
Rock.
It's a hazard. Like
Yeah.
it should be marked as a red hazard. Like
Yeah.
all
It is.
desert golf courses should be marked because you get into those bushes, and yes, every once in a blue moon you're going to be able to hit it out. But guess what? You're going to damage your club too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
why not just red stake it, and then Patrick Cantlay can literally take a penalty drop, back into grass, and hit his shot and potentially make par still.
Well, I'm going to say this about Patrick Cantley. Number one, he's probably the smartest golfer out. He's probably the smartest golfer out there. So he must have had some, he's trying to win a golf tournament. He's won umpteen. He's worth umpteen $1 million. But he must have thought he had something, right? Because Rev's an aggressive. Rev's kind of, you don't have to caddy much for Patrick Cantley. You know what I mean? Those guys, the greatest caddies work for the greatest players, right? That's pretty much what the greatest caddies are. So he must have thought he had something, and the execution wasn't.
Did you see Oberholzer? He was right there before Patrick Cantlay came walking up, and he goes, "He has no shot here, folks. He literally, this is an unplayable. Unfortunately,
I was watching it. I was kind of going back and forth, but I didn't. When I saw him drop it, when I saw him pick it up and drop it, because well,
not on the first one though. That was after he hit. He tried to hit it out.
Obviously. But I was at, I was at Disney World, back at the house and that kind of stuff. So this little Airbnb that we had, and by the way, whoever owned this Airbnb, one roll of toilet paper in every bathroom and one roll of paper towels. I mean, you're getting fucking.
That ain't gonna cut it.
No, I'm going to butcher on this review. The good news about Airbnb reviews is they can't see what you say before they review you. So you leave everything spotless. You pull all the bedding and you put all the towels in the washer and spray and wash that shit. So you're going to get a 10 out of 10. But they must have Oberholzer is a one-time tour winner who beat the shit out of his caddies back in the day. So I'm not going to give him much, yay, San Jose State. I still think Mark Hubbard's a better player than Oberholzer.
You are worked up after the miscut and then Disney World.
Well, let me tell you about my travels. So I get back on Friday. So I get back on Friday night, right? And
you traveled Friday night?
No, I got back to the hotel room.
Oh, I got you.
So I left Saturday at 1:30 and I flew on Frontier Airlines. I don't recommend it.
No.
And I had a nonstop into Orlando, took an hour and a half Uber.
Oh, you went to Orlando with that?
Went to Orlando. Lori was already there with the boys, and we're going to Animal Kingdom on what day was that? I don't even know.
Was that Saturday or Sunday?
Sunday.
Yeah.
So we go to Animal Kingdom on Sunday. There's 57,000 people at Animal Kingdom, and I'm going to say 51,000 of them are foreigners. 5,000 of them are overweight with cards, and then there's another 1,000 of us.
I do love the buffet in Orlando.
I was fired up because my 9-year-old and 5-year-old were, that's a big thing for them. But I still think 5 years old is too young to take it.
It's a lot, Bobby.
Thanks, man. And it was hot. It was 90 degrees, and they have one really good roller coaster there. It's called the Everest Expedition. It's kind of a mini Matterhorn kind of thing. So my 9-year-old, funny thing is my 9-year-old, I nickname him Sammy Safety. My 5-year-old, you can put escargot in front of him and go, "Hey, have you ever had escargot?" He goes, "No, I'll try it. Why not? It's just chill." So we wait in this 50-minute line with my 9-year-old, and he pulls the fucking ripcord on me right before we're going to board, right? So Lori has to come get him out of line, and I'm like, well, fuck that. I'm riding this roller coaster. So I ride it by myself. I don't see him for an hour. We meet over at this river rapids ride. They got this little river rapids ride that you get fucking soaking wet on.
Absolutely destroyed on that one.
Yes. And my kids like that. So we made the whole track around and everything. And I'm in I just don't like people anymore. It's just too many people. Like I said before, they should fucking pay you to go to Disneyland and then charge you $20, $30 for a
You sound like a New Yorker, Bobby.
Yeah, or $20 for a water and make it up that way. So we're winding down. It's like 3:00. That was our goal. Let's get out of there at 3:00, which is great for me because I was going to watch the end of the golf and everything and see what this LIV thing was doing. And my boys are like, let's go on the river raft one more time. And we had the fast pass for the first one, so we went right on, right?
Oh, you had the
So
fast pass too?
yeah, they do. It's nothing like it used to be when I was a kid going to
Oh, you used to
Disneyland.
be able
Right
to
now,
get
you
right
got to
through
pay
that
extra.
line.
You can go right through that line. You wait 12 minutes,
Yeah.
no big deal. So we get up to the river raft, last ride of the day, right? Last ride of the day, and it's 55 minutes. And I look at Lori and I go, well, we're gonna wait in fucking this line in 55 minutes with this fucking posse. My kids are out of control, and my kids are like, Dad, we gotta do it. So 55 minutes, we get on there. I get fucking soaking wet, drenched on this thing, which I really didn't mind. It was 90 degrees, and we got the hell out of there. And then all of a sudden, Monday, we end up at this place called Volcano Bay. You ever heard of that?
No.
That's a big, huge water park at Universal Studios.
Oh, I do like Universal though.
Yeah.
That's my favorite
And
spot.
funny thing about my 9-year-old, he won't do a roller coaster, but he'll go straight down any water thing that's going on
Really?
an hour that I wouldn't even
Does
go
he
on.
not like flipping upside down? Is that it?
I don't know. I think he's just terrified from roller coasters. This good. Well, let's thank YouTube for this. I guess his little escapades on YouTube and everything like that. It probably got him all freaked out. And he's
I don't
reading.
even know what that rabbit hole looks like, Bobby. I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to dive into that some night. I'm gonna
Notice
have
my
to get
hat. I
I'm
hope
gonna
they're
have to
doing
get some
good.
edibles, Bobby, and just dive down that rabbit hole of roller coasters on YouTube and what could go wrong to see what
Uh,
your child has
I,
experienced.
I will.
I will report back.
We're so way off pace. I told you I've suspended every TV. Every week they smuggle YouTube back on. I had to take it off because my kids stayed home from school like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I made him some chicken noodle soup and gave some crackers. And I'm like, man, he doesn't look. I think he's faking. I mean, he doesn't look like he's normally sick. Am I right here? He's got
Oh
the biggest,
wow.
sweetest heart, and he's in there just. And I walk in, and he's watching some live brain surgery on YouTube. And I'm like, and I dropped the F on to him. I go, what the fuck are you watching right now to a 9-year-old super dad, right? And he goes, he just got lockjaw. I go, that's it. You know what I mean?
He got caught, Bobby.
I
You
took a
caught him in the
deep,
moment.
I caught him in the moment.
That's like
So
when I was playing my dad in Nintendo and I was like 6 years old, maybe
yeah,
5. And all of a sudden he scored a touchdown and I dropped the biggest F bomb. I go, oh, fuck.
yeah.
And that was the first time my dad ever heard me swear, especially a swear word like the F word. Well, guess what? I didn't play Nintendo for quite
Yeah.
some time.
So I will tell you this, Volcano Bay didn't have a lot of people and that kind of stuff. And we did have a good time there. The story. I got a herniated L4, L5. I can't do
Yeah,
anything
you can't.
or anything like that. But my kids had the best time. And then they have a lazy river, and then they have like the fast lazy river, right? So Lori's like, hey, let's final. I'm gonna take them on this fast lazy river. And I'm like, okay, I'll meet you at the end. I'm not getting in there and that kind of stuff. And they come to the end and they're clearing everybody out of the lazy river. You know what I mean? Like there's a major emergency, and I'm like, oh my God, kid drowned or something like that, right? So we didn't know what was going on. So we were walking out. My boys wanted to do one other little small ride, and I heard one lifeguard come up to the other and goes, oh, did you hear what happened over there and that kind of stuff? And they're whispering and everything like that. And I'm like, oh shit, this can't be good, right? So the one lifeguard looks like he just, he's firing one
He
up every
smoked a
hour.
jet.
He's watching the clock. He's like, oh, I can't wait to get the fuck out of here. And I go, what happened over there, man? You got to tell me. I've been tortured here for the last 2 days. Give me something. He goes, let's just say they have to take all the water out and clean the whole pool. So somebody pooped in the
Oh,
river
they
there.
ripped a
Yeah.
fat one,
Yeah. So
right?
there was a
Caddyshack
doozy.
style,
Totally.
Snickers bar just
Totally.
floating down. And it
Totally.
probably wasn't a
Yeah.
Snickers bar. It was probably a Snickers bar that blew into 1,000
It's
pieces.
no big deal. I mean,
Dude.
it's no big deal.
Bobby, you know the greatest golf movie ever? Caddyshack 1. Worst
Yeah.
golf movie ever?
The
Caddyshack 2.
Deuce. Yeah, the Deuce. But let's get back to some good stuff about Vegas.
I would love to hear some good stuff about
Okay, let's hear
Vegas.
some good stuff. I'm gonna tell you the good before the bad, because I felt like an idiot. I felt like a genius looking at the leaderboard, and then on the same time I look like an idiot. And you know exactly where I'm going, because I am the
100%.
genius.
Well, let's
And
start with the genius. Let's start with the good stuff. So
if
Bobby
they're
called it.
any Korean, Kim's or M's. I called it. You're the big fan
Top of the
Tom Kim.
leaderboard.
You called, and they were on the top of the leaderboard.
I was
all
smiling
week.
my ass off.
Yeah.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
But then there was the Bobby pull hook.
Here, let me quote it. Let me quote it. Mito Pereira is going to live. He's playing 2 more. He didn't have his quad and his TrackMan out all week. I was talking to his caddy, who was one of our previous guests, Scotty McGinnis. So and you remember my quote? If I do anything, I'm betting on Koreans, but I definitely get betting against Mito Pereira all
to
week.
make the cut.
And
yeah.
to just betting against him in a head-to-head matchup, who he was. So I'm not going to be that bad if you bet him against like Matt Neesmith, Patrick Cantlay, or Tom Kim, but he was leading all week.
You were super high on Patrick Cantlay too. Yeah. So let's just put it this way: if you had a 3-horse race, you would have won.
Well, we would have had the exact because you love Tom Kim, and I called it Kim, and I had Cantlay. So if we would have boxed Tom Kim and Patrick Cantlay, even though Patrick Cantlay had to make about 35-footer for triple bogey to hang on to second,
but I just didn't see that coming out of him. I thought we were going to end up in a playoff. I was pumped up. We've got Tommy Kim. We got Matt Cook's guy against Bobby's guy because Bobby's very high on Patrick Cantlay. I'm sitting there going, oh my God, I got to start texting Bobby. And then as soon as I saw the pull hook out of Pat, by the way, it was a pull hook. He fucking pull hooked the shit out of that. He thought it might have had a chance to get into the rough, but that was pull hooked.
Have you been there? There is a ton. You can't see it down the left side a little bit, but there is a ton of that fairway is probably, I'm not kidding you, it's minimum 80 yards wide. And the farther left you cheat it, yes, you bring the desert into play. You randomly see guys in there. Usually you don't see him in there on the 72nd hole if their name's Patrick Cantlay because he's been known as a finisher. But that's,
hey, everybody does it every once in a blue moon. Michael Jordan. How many game-winning shots did he miss because he wanted the ball? Patrick Cantlay wanted the ball. Give him the ball. Patrick Cantlay hit a pull hook. That's why this show is called Pull Hook Golf, because not only pros but amateurs alike can all hit pull hooks.
Sung Jae in the mix. Si Woo played great all week.
Dude, Si Woo and freaking Manny. You deserve more than just a pair of Jordans on that one for your kids.
Get something. Forget him. What about you? I've been raving about this Sung Hyun Kim, the rookie SH.
So I want to know, why are you so high on him?
You watch him swing a golf club like I watched him swing a golf club in a lot of practice rounds, and there ain't nothing that can go wrong. And what a wonderful thing to have a Korean that can carry at 310 or 315 is what I'm
Bobby. TPI guys are fucking shitting themselves over that one because they're sitting there going, oh my God, the torso rotation and the disconnection between the lower body, it just looks absolutely phenomenal. This kid moves his upper body over his lower body so beautifully in the backswing. And then in order to initiate the downswing, in order to technically have the proper downswing, you have to disconnect your lower body from your upper body and lead the golf swing with that. So his rotation when he gets into transition is unbelievable. Like, I get why. That's why I teed it up for you, because I'm like, dude, I get why I haven't seen him hit a golf shot up until this.
I found him before everybody else. I fucking flipped him right to Micah.
It's unbelievable.
I flipped him right to Micah too. Our other guest, Micah, who was, tried to win Minnesota with Scott Piercy. And that's funny. I was telling you, Micah was on the Tito's all week thinking that Piercy was going to win, talking shit and everything like that. And I'm like, hey man, this agent keeps calling me about this SH Kim. I'm telling you right now. And he's like, I can't leave Scott Piercy. He's going to win this week. And I'm like, oh, you have no idea what, and I understand that, but
is Micah still with Scott?
No, he's with Kim.
I was about to say.
Yeah, he's with SH Kim. And I'm not tuning my own horn. Man, I've seen a lot of fucking world class golfers every single day for the last 17 years. And you get some that catch your eye. And
wait, so Micah was on the bag for SH? I didn't even notice.
Yes, he has been all year.
Oh my God, I'm a goddamn loser. I deserve just to be battered on social media over this one. Because that's horrible. That's bad form. I'm disappointed in myself here, Bobby, because I'm looking for Micah and I didn't even notice him. Did he get a haircut?
He did. Well, you know what he did? He ended up losing like 20 pounds in the last month.
That motherfucker. Yeah. That's what got me, because I'm looking, I'm like, is that Micah or is it not? I'm like, I know Bobby was saying that he was going to get him on SH Kim's bag, and I couldn't, they never gave a good shot of Micah for me to see that it was Micah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was Micah, but you can't tell because usually he wears those. He was working for Doug Gimmon. He was getting all the Nike flow. So I would always make fun of him. He wears those Nike shirts and he got that belly that just sticks out and the belt's real low down by the huevo sack and everything like that. But
Taking
they
shots.
finished fourth, and he had a chance. He was putting the squeeze on him there. He made 3 or 4 in a row on the backside. He had that 6-iron
Bobby,
on
he
6.
went Yahtzee on
I know, but he
Sunday.
rinsed it on
He
16 with a
did.
6-iron. He hit a little bit thin and probably came up a yard short. And
Micah, come on,
it's
Micah. You
basically
got to get him the right club there.
no, he hit it thin. He hit it thin. Fuck, you know what? I've been doing this for so long. I can tell. I'm not going to toot my own horn again, but I don't even have to watch a player hit a shot now, and I can tell by the
You can
sound
hear it.
exactly
Yeah.
what's going on. Yeah, and you could tell on TV that he got it a little bit. He got it a little bit
He got it
thin.
a groove low for sure.
Yeah, and it just
It
needed
might
to
have
carry.
even been bottom groove, Bobby,
Yeah, it could have been bottom.
because it didn't sound right. You're
No,
spot on, by the way.
yeah. And like I said, I loved every Korean. Sung Jae finished 7th and didn't have his great week. Siwoo got off to a great start and finished 8th. And I will tell you, he is, remember we were talking about Garrett Kigo finally got the Claude Harmon out of him the week before last and played good. Well, Siwoo also did, like 2 years with Claude Harmon and and I feel like he's got the Claude Harmon out of him now too, because Siwoo is playing with some confidence. I think all of these Koreans are going to be so good and be a force for so long. And they just you got to have a ton of confidence coming out of that arena of the President's Cup too, don't you?
Siwoo is
Yeah,
legit,
he's
Bobby.
no scaredy
And here's
cat.
the thing with,
Yeah,
I feel like Manny's personality of
yeah,
being, Manny's a leader, right? Like
yeah.
Manny is going to say what he wants to say.
He is, but he's chill. He's a quiet, chill leader.
Exactly. But
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what I was trying to
yeah,
explain when we had him on. I couldn't put it into words other than like,
yeah,
man, you just ooze coolness. Like
yeah,
you
yeah,
kind of are like just such a cool person that it's like tough to be mad. I
yeah,
felt like I'm
yeah.
like, there's nothing that you're gonna say that I'm gonna get pissed off. Like he could have
Right.
told me that
He's
he
just
hated
chill.
my hat, and I
Yeah.
would have been like, yeah, man, that's true. I do hate my
And
hat.
he's smart. And Manny was a great player himself. So he's already one step ahead of the game for most caddies, anyways. If you hear him describe those shots that Siwoo was hitting at the President's Cup,
Yeah.
he's already 2 steps in front of everything. So good for Siwoo, good for Manny. They finished 8th, I think.
I mean, he dealt with some fires out there with Siwoo.
Yeah,
Did you
yeah.
see some of those holes
Dude,
that
I
took
saw him for
place?
2 I saw him for 2 years,
Yeah, but I mean, he hit one out of the bunker into the water and
Yeah.
then
Made
back
that
over the
triple.
green again.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then on the following hole, Manny gets him back into place to where the guy makes a freaking eagle.
Yeah, I know, I
It's
know.
unbelievable.
Well, slow down, man. He doesn't get him into place. Sibu gets himself into place, man. He's just there
Yeah,
rubber
please, he's
on
player's
and
champ,
going.
bro.
I players champ,
Yeah,
bro.
he's
So
player's
good one for
champ.
him. Jason Day had a good week. We've been talking about Jason Day trying to show some form
That
since.
did look good. I enjoy
Boy,
seeing Jason Day back up there.
can I tell you that the group I have with Brian, I have nicknamed Brian Harmon my second favorite golfer on the PGA Tour,
Oh, I thought you were going to say mini me.
Well, that's one of the reasons why he's my second favorite golfer, because first and foremost, he's a tough pairing because he gets pissed, and if he hits in a divot or this, it's always somebody else's fault. But that's Brian. He hits it in divots. It's like it's so unfair. It happens to me. It doesn't happen to everybody else. But I love watching this guy play golf because he's fucking 5'6", and it's so funny. And I've nicknamed him that, and he doesn't get along with a lot of people, but I get along with him pretty good because I feel like I understand him. And it is so nice to see somebody that is so good at golf that is not 6'4" and all
Bombing it.
muscle and 215. And when I was all in a bad mood on Thursday and that kind of stuff, me and him were standing on the back of the green, and he got off to a nice start on Thursday, and he was shitting the bed he was going to miss the cut on Friday. Brian, all hell was breaking loose, and he was getting verbal. And I asked him, and I go, he's a big hunter and he owns a bunch of land and everything like that.
I
And I
didn't
asked,
know that.
yeah. And I asked him in Georgia, and I asked him, and I go, do you practice when you're home? Why are you so good? I'm thinking to myself, this guy's
Yeah.
fucking 5'6". You practice home? He goes, I know I ever practice. And I'm like, oh fuck. Well, there goes that whole deal. He makes $3 million a year. And then we were talking about, I just love Brian Harmon. He was shitting. he was shitting the bed. He was one behind the cut line on that easy 16th hole we were talking about, where SH Kim hit the 6-iron, and he drove it in the right rough. He tried to chip it out. It hit a tree. He had to lay up. He's going to try and get up and down for 5, and he hoops it for birdie, right? And then he makes a nice par on 17, and then he makes a nice 20-footer, and he ends up finishing 15th for the week. So which is good. Another Korean KH Lee, okay, 37th.
Sexy man. KH Lee is a very sexy man.
Sexy.
Very sexy.
One of my best friends Monday qualified in, the legend himself, the sober version, non-smoking cigarette version, Spencer Levine. Monday,
no shit.
And he finished 44th. Yeah, so it was nice to see Spence. But I
was talking about Spencer Levine. Actually, this is going to sound really weird, but there's an engineer that has, and this guy's a brilliant guy. He's up in Canada, and he's got several patents. Engineer, he's on the podcast network for a company that I do work for, and with that, he brings me on as a guest onto his podcast because he wants to talk golf. Right. And guess whose name comes up? Spencer Levine.
Yeah,
because I played.
Stein. We call him Stein.
Played in a Monday qualifier with Spencer Levine for the BC Open back in the day. I have not seen a man smoke more cigarettes in my goddamn life than Spencer Levine. He went through 2 packs in that Monday qualifier.
You know, 2 years no cigarettes, and he used to really hit the sauce. That's what held him back, was the sauce and his temper. He's got the world.
Bobby, is he putting with that Happy Gilmore putting?
Yeah, that thing.
Yeah.
Video, that thing. Hey, funny thing is, I looked at his stats on Thursday. He led the field in driving accuracy, was last in the field in putting, and actually made a move up to T21 or T22 towards sometimes on Saturday, and flattened out and finished 44th. But you want to know the best thing of my week was?
Please
Butch
do
was
share.
there. Butch was on the range.
Oh, good old Butch. So we love Butch.
Yeah, so I got to, and we're pretty close. Obviously, we've had history with Dustin, and I've sent him a couple other players. Siwoo did some time with him and that kind of stuff. And just, you know, I just look forward to, he's just like my favorite. He's just like my favorite person. You know, to me, Butch Harmon's the greatest teacher of all time, right?
He is. He is.
Normal. He's like
him, Harvey Penick.
Yeah, he's like, me and him have a lot in common, you know, other than he's worth, you know, I'm worth a couple $100. He's worth a couple $100 million. That's probably the biggest difference, you know, for an obvious difference.
Him and Adam Scott used to have the same Mercedes.
He is just, you know, he doesn't give a fuck what he says and that kind of stuff. And it's always nice to give him a big hug. And, you know, and first thing I asked him, I go, hey, old man, what are you doing now? He goes, whatever the fuck I want, whenever the fuck I want. I go, you did some good parenting with that oldest son of yours. He goes, oh, you can fucking have him, talking about Claude. So he talks shit about his own son. So, you know, he's there. He works with Nick Watney. He has been.
And Maverick McNeely.
And I was going to bring that up because I can't for the life of me. Troy and Maverick share the same agent. Peter Webb, just a great guy who's got a small stable. He also has the new rookie Justin Sue, who won the points list for the Corn Ferry Tour. But I can't figure out for the life of me why this Maverick McNeely has not won a golf tournament yet, because he doesn't miss. We've been paired with him, man. He just doesn't miss a shot.
No, and he's a disciple under Butch, right? So he's one of Butch's main stable guys. Yeah. But it just seems like, Bobby, we've talked about this. It's got to be between the ears, man, because this kid does not miss golf shots.
No, he doesn't miss golf shots. And you got, quite honestly, the greatest coach / by far the greatest motivating coach on the planet. And he was up there all week. I mean, I'm not talking shit. He finished 10th and everything like that. But you want to talk about not giving up to a tournament. My second favorite golfer, Brian Harmon, looked like he was missing the cut. He grinds it out. He ends up finishing 15, and that's pretty much, you know, that's pretty much
that. That's something not everybody realizes, because they're looking at the top 10 leaderboard. They're watching the broadcast. Like, for Brian Harmon to do that, solid work.
And he never quits. He may bitch and moan. And we were paired with Wyndham Clark too, who is, I have never seen anybody with so much talent stay so mad for so long on a golf course. He was playing fine on Friday through 7 holes, and 7 is a...
Wyndham works out where I work out.
Yeah, and it was kind of a drive hole. He hit a pull hook out of bounds and made a triple, but he was still, you know, 4 under was going to be the cut. He was still going to be even par or 1 under. And this fucking guy, and he's probably going to listen to this, and I like him, but this guy fucking was mad from 7 to 18 coming home. And his caddy is a good buddy of mine, John Ellis, who was a superstar player at Oregon, who I thought would be on tour for 20 years and just didn't work out with him. I mean, I go back to my Canadian tour caddy days with him, you know, playing practice rounds with him, going, this John Ellis guy is going to win golf tournaments. But I think that gets to the point where they're really best friends, and that could be good, and sometimes that could be bad, because a really best friend has a hard time stepping in going, hey, knock the fuck off. You can pull your fucking head out of your ass. And he never made that move. And I said something to John. I go, this guy's been mad for fucking 2 hours. It's like he's just getting up hitting shots when you got a chance to make a cut. So obviously he's struggling with something upstairs. He's got a ton of talent, but I mean, honestly, those guys are
can I tell you, sometimes when it absolutely drives you the maddest is when your game's in shape and you can't score.
Yeah.
And you can't figure out why. Like, there's nothing that like is really standing out. It's not like it's short game. It's not necessarily chipping. You're just off a little bit. Like, you're hitting greens, but they're 45 feet away rather than 25 feet away. And it's like those small margins will drive you mad. And that's where, like, I've been training once again just to like get back into golf shape and so forth. And that is one of the things that happens now because I don't get as much practice. I can't practice as much as the guys on tour and so forth, but it's like when you do go out and you know the swing's there, and yet you're just enough off that your numbers aren't there, that will drive you mad. So he might be going through that.
Yeah, I think he's been going through it for like 2 years, man, to tell you the truth. So it's time to go.
Golf is a maddening game. This game, this game sucks.
So here's the deal. So my guy's playing. So they're in Japan this week for the Zozo.
Yeah,
we got
Zozo.
The Zozo this week.
Tell me about it.
I don't go. I didn't go last year. I know Hideki pretty good. He hooked us up with a young Japanese caddy over there named Shoto. They're all named Shoto.
Do we know where he's at right now? Because they're playing right now as we're doing it. Let's pull up to see where Troy's at.
Let's tell everybody that Troy did tee off in the first group. He was the first tee time off.
He was the first tee time off.
He got to 3 under. Yeah, he got to 3 under. He got to 3 under right off the bat. Okay. And then before we were coming on the air, you pointed out that he had gave a couple back.
Yeah, he went bogey on 89.
He's given another one back.
Oh boy.
So he's even
one over? Oh, we're even
par. Oh, we're even. So we're even par, which is
because we were at 1 under when we started the show.
4 birdies, 4 bogeys. But I'll tell everybody why I don't go to Japan is because
you don't like hibachi.
Well, no, I love sushi, but I do not like being in a plane for 14 or 16 hours and then landing because I'm 58 years old with a couple herniated discs.
Yeah, you've got the back issues.
Yes, I got the back issues. I've had the knees done twice. I'm making my excuses now.
Knees done twice. You've had 2 knee replacements?
Yeah, no, meniscus, meniscus on both.
That's different, Bobby.
Yeah, but it still gets me sometimes.
Yeah, it's valid. I'm sorry.
So, and then you get off this 16-hour flight, you drive up, you're in a bus for an hour and a half, you go to the hotel room, you got to change, and then you're going to go caddy 18 holes. It's not much for me. I've never seen the golf course. So, about a month ago, Troy's like, what are you thinking about Japan? I'll pay for the charter. And there you go. There it is. I don't know.
And Bobby, this is the green that has 2 greens on the same hole, and they switch them up. They're in action this week, Bobby.
Those Japanese.
You would have to learn 2 green complexes for the same hole. Right. Very complicated.
The way my man's putting, I don't have to learn jack shit. He's just got to figure out how to get into the hole. So we got a little.
He's got a brand new putter, Bobby. It goes either way. You're either lights out when you get a new putter because you gain that confidence and you're like, wow, I can really line this up. It feels great. Everything's going in. As soon as you miss a couple putts, you're like, it's the fucking putter. I mean, you're bringing up a topic that amateurs go through, and
Yeah,
if an
all the
amateur
time.
has money, which most golfers do, but there's
Yeah,
the hacks out there that like me, that don't have a ton of money, and
yeah.
it's like I'm not going out and buying a new putter every week.
Well,
I've
it's
got my
usually
stable
not.
of like a rotation.
It's usually a technique thing and a dome
Yeah,
thing. More heavy on the dome, right? In
yeah,
between
dome it
the.
is. It's the
So,
confidence,
anyways,
mental confidence,
yeah, we got little Shoto over there, and as bad as a mood as I was in for after missing this cut and that kind of stuff, and
and then Disney World.
this is a 70-man field, no cut event, so he's gonna make some
Oh,
points.
it's like Live Golf.
Yes, well, shut up! How dare you say that? Jesus Christ! Don't make this stuff. But
Are
more
they gonna get
importantly,
official world golf rankings over there in the
no, they're
Zozo?
not. They ain't getting shit. They're never gonna get shit, and they're never gonna get world ranking points. That's just the
I'm
fucking
just
bottom
wondering if the
line.
Zozo gets world ranking points.
I gotta get you into next week because next week we have another massive the CJ Cup, the
Oh,
big Korean CJ Bibigo
yeah.
tournament. It's a
Do
$12
love
million
the good
dollar.
CJ Cup.
Yes, and it's an hour and a half from my house. It's at Congaree. So I was having a cup of coffee this morning, and I was not there. I was not there last year, when it played when they played there. So I'm like, you know what? I did the Tom Brady from his fucking thing on ESPN. I go, there's nobody, and I got myself fired up. Ain't nobody getting the fucking edge on me this week. I am going to come
Oh,
out.
I like that.
I am taking the boys to school on Thursday. I'm driving an hour and a half. I'm going to walk 9 holes. I'm going to come out and pick the boys. I'm going to
Yeah.
do the same thing on Friday. I got double soccer games here with the men on Saturday. I'll take that off. Then I'm going to go walk 18 again on fucking Sunday. Troy doesn't get in until Monday. He'll have jet lag. And I'm going to walk 18. And like Tom Brady said to all those guys in the locker room when they leave the gym at 5 p.m. after practice, where are you going? Because
Yeah.
nobody's
I
getting the
mean,
fucking
Tom
edge.
Brady's willing to give a divorce to Giselle over just playing another year.
Yeah, I am not. Nobody's getting the edge on me, so I am fired up. These
Have
are a
you been
big.
watching a lot of 30 for 30 documentaries on Michael
I
Jordan, Tom Brady, and Jeter?
You know my story about driving back from Disney World, 10 hours, an
I
almost
did.
6 hour drive, two
People, by the
accidents.
way, Bobby really wanted to record last night. And I'm like,
Yeah,
absolutely not, because he got stuck in an accident on the I-95
yeah.
driving back from Orlando to Charleston, South Carolina. So if you guys don't know what that drive is, I know what that drive is because I've done that drive from
Yeah,
Florida all the way up to New
yeah,
York. And if
yeah.
you get stuck on that I-95
You
and
are
there
fucked.
is a accident,
You
not
can't. There's
just an
nowhere to
accident,
go. There's no
there's
sidewalk.
nowhere to go. You
I didn't
can't get
even.
around it. You can't do anything. You're stuck for hours on end. So
I
like
didn't even.
Bobby sends me this poor
Go
text and
ahead.
I'm like, dude, let's just record it tomorrow.
So
Completely fine.
So two things. Number one, I'm going to apologize to all of our people that want our shit to drop on Wednesday, so I can lose them money the Mito Pereira way when I give them my picks. And number two, I didn't even
Just
tell you
follow
about.
Bobby on Koreans.
Yeah,
Koreans and
just follow
Patrick
the
Cantlay and
Koreans for the rest
Shoffley,
of.
he's got
Yeah.
him.
Yes. And I didn't even tell you about the 8 miles to go. You take the Interstate 4 out of Orlando and then
Oh,
you get into
yeah.
Daytona. I didn't even tell you 8 miles to Interstate 4 took an hour and 10 minutes because some jackass ran into the rail in his shit kicker, South Carolina fucking truck and backed everything
Oh,
up. And
no.
did I tell you?
Bobby, that's a debacle.
And then my 5 and 9 year old are brawling in the back and shit's flying everywhere. And I'm losing my shit. Lori's not talking to me because I'm so uptight and my back's fucked up. I got my stem machine on. I can't get
Oh,
comfortable.
you're
And
getting
I'm
shock treatment?
no, yeah, I got the stem machine on all
Yeah.
the time with the shock treatment. It takes away the pain. I'm rifling Advils like Xanax left and right. Probably took like 42 of them in an 8 hour ride. And I kept giving
That
Lori
ain't
the
healthy,
body language,
folks.
like, oh, my back fucked up. And she never took the bait one time. She's eating her Snickers bar and drinking her water and she's on the phone. And I'm thinking to myself on the drive, I go, she fucking gets on that phone one more time, I'm gonna lose my shit. Because I can't. When you drive with your kids, you're so paranoid because the average speed limit is 88.6 miles an hour. I did the
Oh,
math,
yeah.
95, and I'm old man Bob in that third lane over there on the right, not going over 75.
Oh, Bob, you can't let people
I
pass
got
you.
kids. I
Oh,
yeah,
Bobby, the safest thing to do is to
yeah.
be in control of everything in front of you. You don't want somebody creeping up from the back.
What I should have thought when he was going to write up
Uh,
on 12. So anyways, I'm
I got a
apologizing.
feeling Bobby's going to be changing his ways here
Yeah,
shortly.
right. So I'm apologizing to everybody. This is the last for these late drops. We're going to give you some information more on Wednesdays. It was my fault,
Who do
but
you like in the Zozo? I mean, I know it's already
let me look
happening,
at the
but
leaderboard.
people can
It's a week.
take a quick look.
I don't even want to. I don't even want to look because that would be like cheating and everything like
No,
that.
it's not,
But
because people have the weekend bets, so they can bet on the last 2 days.
okay, I'll take a look. But I'd like, man, I'm going to go with the hot hands with the Koreans and everything like that, right? I mean, Tom Kim, all these
Do they
Koreans.
play well in Japan?
Yes, because they all cut their teeth on the Japanese tour. That's the way to go before they get to the
Oh,
Korean tour. And Mark Leishman was telling me one day, he goes, if you're a foreigner, it's a good idea to go play the Japanese tour for 2 years because everything's super tight. You got to learn how to shape your golf ball. You get to be a Bermuda specialist.
but
So
the
I'm going
Koreans
to
can't shape it.
get,
They had it
well,
dead
you don't
straight.
need, well, what I should say, what he said was everything's super tight, right? You learn how to get it
Gotcha.
super straight. I didn't mean shape it. You're right.
That's fair.
Actually, they do fall 2 feet left or 2 foot right sometimes if they.
SH actually, I mean, SH seemed to be just playing a lot of straight shots, but my boy Tommy Kim, he was not. Actually, before we dive into Zozo,
Yeah.
and get your insight, because
Yeah.
I do want to kind of take a look at the leaderboard real quick.
Yeah, go pull
But
it up.
no,
Tell
but
me.
Tom Kim,
Yeah.
he didn't have it on Sunday.
Well, you don't. I've
He
worked for
kept it
guys that
together.
listen, brother. I have worked for guys that don't have their ace shit, and guys without their ace shit. Danny Lee's leading at 3 under. Go fucking figure that. The
Yeah, that's not
psychopath
gonna
himself.
last.
But he's Australian.
Sorry,
He's
Danny Lee.
Australian Korean. Yeah. Chris Bazwedenhout is right there at 2 under.
Ooh.
There's Stack Xander's 2 under. Kirk Kitayama's 2 under. Ricky Fowler. Okay, so I'll tell you who I like.
Yeah.
Troy told me it's going to be raining. I had to make sure he packed 2 umbrellas and all his rain gear over there because it's going to be wet. So that automatically thinks to me, I don't care how tight it is, that Cameron Young's going to be the guy to beat behind Hideki. I look for Hideki to repeat.
Oh, Cam Young. I'm
Yeah,
thinking
Cam
Cam
Young.
Smith.
Yeah, not Carson
I'm
Young.
like, he's gone.
No,
No, I'm thinking Cam Smith.
I look for Cameron Young to play pretty good. I look for Sung Jae to play pretty good. This field's not that strong for an $11 million purse because guys don't want to go over there. But next week when we have a 70-man field at CJ, here they all come: Rory, JT, Scotty Scheffler, the creme de la creme. So if I had to summarize it, I'm a chalk player. I'm a chalk better, and I like Hideki and I like Cam Young, and I like anybody coming, all the Koreans and anybody coming off that President's Cup team this week.
Oh, you like Cam Young this week?
I do like Cam
Young.
Yeah, I do.
Just the bomber mentality there.
Hey man, super bombers when it's wet out, ball go, everything's carry distance and that kind of stuff. I like this guy named Troy Merritt. He got off to a good start. He was 3 under. He's back to even par, and we need some fucking FedEx Cup points is what we need.
Let's go, Troy.
Only 70 make the playoffs.
Let's dial it in.
Only 70 make the playoffs. You want to talk about some LIV golf?
Oh, let's do it, because the Bangkok really had some bang to it.
Heavy on the cock.
Well, it was, because actually there wasn't that much bang. It was more so that the golf course was soft and easy. How do you create a brand new golf course, open up this year, and have the greens super receptive? And I mean, I'm watching this thing, Bobby, and like, there's nowhere to miss.
Yeah.
Like, there were a few guys that were like, this is Augusta National conditions. I don't even know who said it from the guys that live, but I feel like it was your boy, what's his name?
Gary Foles, or the little...
No. It was a player. It was a player. It was, oh gosh, why am I forgetting his name? The one that you had the issues with, where he wouldn't get off the tee box. Our replacement player, Anabon. I feel like it was, and Anabon, if you didn't say that, I'm sorry, but I feel like it was him saying that, like, it was the same conditions as Augusta National, which it did look pretty damn pristine, but man, you could hit it anywhere. You could really hit it anywhere. That's why the scores were so damn low. And then
that's why this guy wins Chikara. He's a super bomber too. You know what I mean? He hits it as hard as he can. He's one of those new breed guys coming out of college. You know the background on Chikara, don't you?
You've shared it a little bit, but please do go into detail.
He was at Wake Forest for 2 years, and then he transferred to Oklahoma State. I watched him play on TV. I watched him play on TV on every college event that I possibly could. And the Oklahoma State coach is probably the most famous college coach in the nation because they're a powerhouse. And I do remember him saying at nationals, he goes, Eugenio Chikara is by far, and he's had Matt Wolf and all these Okie State guys, Ricky Fowler, right?
Ricky Fowler,
and he said that he is by far the most talented player that I've ever had, which kind of drove me a little bit crazy because it looked like he could hit it sideways at times. But what drove me more crazy was people don't know. Okay, Eugenio Chikara probably didn't come from any money, right? He signed for he's not one of those guys that signed for 10 or 15 million. He probably signed for $2 to $4 million, but that's money that's going to set him straight, right? And he can, and you know how the Latinos are with family, they like to take care of their family. So I understand that. He transfers to Okie State. He foregoes his senior year. He takes the money, but people don't know that he got a spot in Wells Fargo at Quill Hollow last year. He missed the cut by like 7 shots. He finished 128. That year, he also got a spot into Mayakoba, and he finished 125th, missed the cut by a mile. 2 years ago, I think as a freshman, as a sophomore, he made the cut at Sanderson Farms, which we just had recently in Jackson, Mississippi, finished 45th, respectable for a 19 or a 20-year-old kid.
Not bad.
Yeah, and he's obviously, Latino, and he got a spot in that, the Andalusia Masters they have over there on the DP World Tour, and he missed the cut badly on that. So he just went Yahtzee. So the fact is this fucking guy swung into the last day with a 5-shot lead, and it shows you how deep golf is. That with a super bomber and wet conditions, which is my Cameron Young angle this week, and the
it is.
going,
Bobby, that the guys who are super bombers out there in Bangkok really had some late nights. Well, I mean, the DJ really knows how to handle himself clearly.
Paulina was there, but Paulina was there. I don't think he can pull any shenanigans when
here's the thing, around. Bobby. Perez's wife ends up with food poisoning, aka the same thing you had last week. It was just ironic that you had actual food poisoning and that took place as well. I'm not claiming anything on that. I'm just saying, I'm pointing out the facts here.
I will, because she's a high maintenance bitch. So if she got sick, she probably fucked with him. Who cares? He finished 40th. That's a good week.
Bobby, that was
yeah, that's a good week for him.
It's 40 out of 46, right?
Yeah, 48.
48.
40th.
I mean, I'm not a mathematician here, Bobby, but I'm going to tell you that's towards the end of the pack. I don't know the exact percentages there, but I will say that there were some red eyes out there throughout the week because there's a lot of guaranteed money taking place. I mean, DJ wasn't involved in the leaderboard at all, and then he kind of creeped into
16th.
I think he was in the top 20. I think it was 14th.
Yeah, T14. Did you notice how bad their leaderboard is? They just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They don't even do the T's.
No, they don't.
But I will say this: good for Chikara, because Patrick Reed put the squeeze on him, and this kid sucked it up, and he's a winner. And he got to, I just gave you the spiel what the coach said about him, but he was the second ranked college player for almost a year straight. So he is
that guy hit the lottery, Bobby.
Yeah, he hit the super lottery, because when this contract is up in 3 years, if he keeps playing good, imagine what the next contract's going to be for the next 3 years.
I mean, he made the right decision. And here's the thing: I shouldn't say I hate. I don't love the social media stuff around LIV Golf sometimes, because I'm a supporter of it, but at the same time, it's like, guys, be real. But this one was actually pretty good. It's like, oh, he could have paid $7,500 to go to Q School and play on the Corn Ferry Tour.
Right.
It's
well,
he hit
that's
valid.
He hit the lottery. I get it. I never talk shit about the guys who need the money that want to go, to tell you the truth.
I mean, can we even talk shit about Dustin Johnson at this point?
Well, I mean, I can talk shit.
I mean, he fucking made a lot of money.
Oh, that brings me up.
That's a lot of Peruvian, you know what?
Bang, bang. But it's funny. That was like the highlight, talking about Butch, because Butch is like, who do you think could write a better book, you or me? And I go, well, you for sure. Well, you for sure. Mine would be all dirt. He goes, you can't write your book until you're done, because you'd never get another
Butch is in Vegas too.
And because he's got shit stories about red couples and
Tiger. I mean,
well,
Phil,
Tiger,
you've got. Everybody came through his plethora.
He says his most dirt stories are on Greg Norman.
No shit.
Oh yeah, he's been,
because Greg did come to him, didn't he?
For a long time, and he was a woman, you know, him and Dustin got a lot in common. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to scroll down this live leaderboard. So Reed puts squeeze on him, and it's Patrick Reed. And under pressure, as much as we don't like Patrick Reed, and we know
I
how
love
sketchy he
Patrick
is,
Reed. I love it. A good cheater.
for his 5 hours, he can put all his kleptomaniac cheating shit to the side, and he can focus in. And that's a little bit like Dustin with all Dustin's personal problems. That's their 5 hours of getting away from reality and focusing in what they do. But you know, the other guys that were somewhat close behind him, I mean, come on, Paul Casey hasn't popped a grave in 2.5 years. Richard Bland randomly won a tournament.
I knew you were gonna go after Richard Bland.
778 events. He won a
Gotta
GP
love a
World
journeyman.
event 2 years ago. Come on, the worst guy to ever win the U.S. Amateur, James Piot, who couldn't pop a grape out here, couldn't come close to making a cut. He finished tied for third. You told me he made $700,000.
Oh no, Bobby, it wasn't.
know?
So hang on a second. It was tied for sixth for James Piot. It was $737,000 that this kid won for tied for sixth.
I think you're wrong. Okay.
No, tied. So this is straight from LIV Golf's website. They have the top 3 players. So, and even ties in the top 3, making over $1 million in that event.
Okay, well, I got Chikara winning at 19 under, Patrick Reed at 16 under.
Hang on, I'm pulling it up right now.
We're taking a look. 3, 4, 5. I got James Piot at tied for sixth.
Oh, hang on. Yeah, tied for sixth. That's what I just said.
Oh, what did I say?
You said tied for 3 or T3.
I got stuck on the 95 for 10 hours.
Yeah, it's 7:37. Hang on, I'm pulling it up as we speak.
No,
I just want to make sure that
you're right. I got it right in front of me.
Tied for six. Tied for 6. Everybody else, by the way,
Siwon Kim finished tied for 4th or 5th or something like that. Nobody knows anything about him.
Not a fucking clue, but he is a Kim.
But he is a Kim. Well, we'll give him credit. The big baby finished. The big baby that everybody likes in 2022, Harold Varner finally cashed a good one. I think he finished tied for 62. Did you read
for him?
Did you? Well, fuck off. Don't say good for him. Listen to what he put on social media today. I'm going to read this to you because nobody's getting more shit for going to LIV and being a pussy about it than Harold Varner, because he posted this on social media. May I read this?
I'm pretty sure I've seen it, but go ahead. Okay. I'm in.
This is Harold Varner, just came out with this a couple of weeks ago. The way he's being treated in the media and from his PGA Tour ex-family. He calls the PGA Tour as a family. Since when is the PGA Tour a family? Everybody wants to kick the fucking shit out of each other.
Exactly. Everybody's competitive as shit.
Here's his quote. I wrote it down. Whenever you leave a family, you become hated. He says, and in a real family, no matter what your son or daughter does, they are family and you take care of them. And that's just not been the way it's been with me and my guys that I played with on the PGA Tour, who I thought were family. Go fuck yourself, Harold. I know I can't say that in 2022 or whatever year this is and that kind of stuff, but he made his own bed. He knew what he was getting. He took his $15 or $20 million. And so it's so funny. He put that up on social media and I'm rolling down the 378 comments and I only made it through 377 of them. Not one of them were nice. They're like, don't be a pussy, man. You went out there and you just made $600,000 or $700,000. You got your $15 million. And it's like, whoa, cry me a river, blah, 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 blah. Abe Answer finally top 10'd out there. He hasn't had a top 10 since God knows how long, ever since he WD'd from, like I said before, some of these guys.
That's surprising. Abraham Answer has fucking game though, Bobby.
Okay, he has a boatload of game. He has a boatload of game, and he won the WGC at Memphis. But I told you last week when he WD'd from San Antonio last year with the bad knee, he got hurt, and he hasn't been the same. That long driver, Bryson DeChambeau. Oh, wow, another great finish for him. 14th or something like that.
Oh, God, and he's the biggest voice, and this is the next topic about the official World Golf Rankings, okay? Yeah. And Bryson, my God, buddy, like, at least make sure that your shit's correct when you're going to say something like this. He goes, we've met every criteria for LIV Golf, and this is ridiculous that we are not getting points for this event. Well, no, sorry, Bryson. You forgot one key factor. There's no fucking cut to that event. which, by the way, it sounds like at
No,
least the
they're not.
media is talking about the fact that
No,
they're going to have a cut for
they're not
Jeddah.
gonna just throw in a cut now all
That's
of a
what they're
sudden.
saying. I mean,
Well,
they've been
remember,
changing shit like crazy, Bobby. You
well,
have no
there,
idea. This last event that they're going to have, they
yeah,
changed the entire format because of a potential cable deal that
yeah,
Golf Week came out and said actually
FS1
Liv's paying for that.
for
And then, of
Fox.
course, everything's gone silent because Live Golf's pissed that that leaked.
Okay, number one, I'll tell you why they're not going to have a cut. Okay, they can't have a cut, Matt. Don't you remember? They can't have a cut because when you put in well, okay, let's say yes, they can have a cut if they want to have a cut. But two things. Once you apply for world rankings, you go on a 1 year grace period, remember? So they're not
Yeah,
even
that's
close to
right.
getting through their 1 year grace period. Number two, not every single one of these teams makes the playoffs in Miami, do they?
No.
Do you know about that? I
Yeah.
don't think every single
No.
team makes the
Not
playoff.
every single team. It is.
So they
Hang
can't
on a
have a
second.
cut. They could because you gotta wait for the guys from the back of the bus to see if they make a move or not. So that number one, they're not gonna have a cut. I'm telling you. I read it up and down everywhere, and this is just like we're getting world Jenna Sims. Congratulations on getting world ranking points. We joined the MENA
Well, you know what it
tour.
looks like? It's the reverse of what all the Live fans were complaining about from Rory McIlroy and from Justin Thomas around their comments about Live Golf and how they were defectors and everything, and they came out as the faces. Now Live Golf's doing the same damn thing. They're
Yeah,
becoming the spokespeople for Greg Norman. It's Bryson DeChambeau.
yeah.
I actually give Brooks some credit
Probably
because he's
did
staying
because
away from it. Like Brooks isn't answering those questions like
well, he
dead
never
on
answers
seriously.
anything. He
Yeah,
never.
but you know what? Like that's actually how I would have played it. I would have played it like Switzerland. Like, dude, I'm making so much damn money that I could really give two fucks if I have official world golf rankings. Like that
Yeah,
would have been my take on that. But then
yeah,
you've got other people like Lee Westwood. Lee Westwood comes out and says that, you know, the official world golf ranking should remove the word official if they're
so
not
yeah,
going to give us
yeah.
rankings. It's like
Right.
bullshit, man. Like meet the fucking criteria. Like, oh, you're all of a sudden the guy that is dictating. Like, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
but that's arrogance. Like that
yeah,
is just pure arrogance and it pisses me off because and
yeah,
I'm sorry if you're a Live fan out there because I like Live Golf and I like what they're doing and I love the changes that it's making across the sport. And I'm
yeah.
sorry to the PGA Tour fans for saying that, but like that type of comment is arrogant and stupid. It's not informed, it's arrogant and ignorance. That
Yeah,
is it because you're not meeting the criteria. Bryson, you're not meeting the criteria. You
yeah.
fucking
Not
morons.
even
Like,
close.
listen to what the criteria is instead of having Greg Norman telling you that you deserve this. You
Yeah.
deserve
Well,
this. You deserve this. Like, that's
Greg,
the rhetoric.
Greg Norman's been like we both know, everybody knows Greg Norman's been lying from day one to get this thing started.
Well,
So
especially with some of the stuff that we've heard from like Sergio Garcia and so forth about the fact that he was
Texas.
promised
Yeah, yeah.
that
They
all of this was going to be in place
yeah,
at
yeah.
least by this point.
Hey, over under 1,000 fans they had out there on Saturday and Sunday at Bangkok.
Brutal, absolutely brutal. And then
Yeah,
it even caught the media's attention because guess what? Unlike a cable deal, which is why they're fighting so hard for one and willing to pay so much money for it, guess
yeah.
what? Your numbers are public on YouTube.
Yeah, and your numbers and the time difference, even though Greg's been super smart about scheduling some of these tournaments against some of our weaker fields, like Dural's going to go up against what, Bermuda or something like that. I mean, I understand that. That's just good strategy on his part. I'll give him
But
props on
it
that. But
struggled, Bobby.
let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. They're in what Jeddah, Saudi Arabia,
Yeah.
right? If there was a fucking 1,000 people in Bangkok at the most, what do you think? Saudi Arabians don't really like Americans last time I checked. How many do you call me crazy, but how many people are going to go out and watch that shit? Nobody. And even our secret undercover caddy, when he went into that third paragraph, remember, he's like, hey, here's the downfall. There's nobody out there. You know what I mean? He even said it. He goes, there's sure there's 8 or 10,000 people, but they're all following the last two groups. So you can't find anybody with this. You can't find anybody with a search warrant. So I'm going to go back here's another week in Las Vegas where not two words were said about what LIV Golf or who's playing or who's going other than us talking about Mito. But no, it's like nobody really gives a shit anymore, honestly. You know, I will tell you, I was sitting And man, this one hits close to home, and I hope my son forgives me for this, but they went after my son's player Pearson Cootie, who just had surgery a couple days ago on that wrist and won't be back for the Corn Ferry Tour. And they threw a fucking number at him. Somebody told me last week, like a number, man, like a number, not like 2 million or 5 million or 10 million. It was, it was probably a little north of 15. And hats off to this kid for saying, getting with his dad. And I know his dad's hardworking. His grandfather won the Masters, Charles Cootie, but I know I know the family's not multimillionaires and that kind of stuff. And this person that was telling me this very famous, popular caddy who's very in with this Dallas crew and plays golf with that crew was saying, this number was pretty much north of $15 million. And that this caddy was shocked that he didn't go because, the fact is that if you go and you take 15 or let's say $20 million off of the numbers out there, and your dad's okay, but he's not a multimillionaire or something like that. His big point was, man, your parents have driven you around since you were 7 or 8 years old to all these junior golf tournaments and everything like that. Wouldn't it be nice to sign something like that and just give your parents like $2 or $3 million and say, hey, thanks for everything. I love you. You're taken care of for the rest of your life. But the positive of that is this kid wants to win majors, right? And he wants to enjoy the journey, and he wants to maybe put on a green jacket like grandpa did, the one time when Charles Cootie won. So, that's just a little tidbit.
There's a little bit of heritage there, and then also there's the competitiveness, right? That I don't want. And I actually heard recently, and this came from a club manufacturer, and I'm like, that's really interesting that a lot of the retort that they're hearing. So, for instance, one confirmed what we've been talking about as far as the next person going and so forth, Mito, going at the end of the year. And then also the fact that the rhetoric is that they are going to be merging with the PGA Tour sooner rather than later. So why not take the money now? And this is what's being sold to them. But this is what's being sold. So if you don't have the other side of the spectrum telling you that there's no fucking way.
There's no way these tours are merging. Let me tell you something. Here's my theory. This LIV tour, it's going to be around for a while, but it's still just going to be the way it is now. Matt, you got to think that this thing every week is losing a LIV. These fucking LIV Twitter guys and social media guys, they got awful quiet when Chikara won, didn't they? It's not like Dustin won or Cam Smith where they could toot their own horn. Best player in the world. We got the best player in the world.
Look at YouTube.
They went silent.
Look at YouTube, though. What? They're buying viewers. They're buying people to actually view that, and the numbers are still low.
Yeah.
There you go. That's tough.
I read you could buy what Chicago or wherever they were selling 3-day tickets for $9. I mean, come on. That means, I know you like it in the fan base, it's attracting and that kind of stuff, but that secret.
I just like that it's another product that's out there. Like, I wish that it wouldn't be this dynamic that took place, but at the same time, it's like, man, now they're turning into the bitter squad. Because it's like they just got paid all this money and then they want their cake and eat it too. I've said this from the beginning, and it's like, man, I really don't see. And as soon as that lawsuit came out, I turned a bit to where I'm like, oh, I get it, to where these guys are not. And I mean, you and I have had conversations. We know more so behind the scenes than most people do. And it's just like, how's your Padres doing, by the way? Let's just 5-3. Yeah, I mean, you got to be locked in. That would have happened to me last night, Bobby, with the Yankees. I mean, I was paying attention throughout. So,
what an episode we would have if it was the Yankees and the Pods in the World Series.
Oh, Bobby, I would have to fly you out. We'd be here in Arizona. We'd be doing the podcast in a damn bar. We'd be screaming our faces off for every damn run. Well, I would be drinking my face off. You would be drinking Fiji water. So let's just put it that way.
What else? What else you got? What else?
I mean, I got on a soapbox about LIV Golf, and I try not to, but it's like, man, when I see that stuff, I'm just like, gosh, darn it, guys! Like, don't you get PR? Like, don't you understand that you guys were winning? and that like now you're looking like whiny babies sitting there going, oh, we don't have our official world golf rankings points because Greg Norman's sitting there going, how unjust this is. We have the top players in the world and we're not getting official world golf ranking points. We're meeting all the criteria. It's like, do a little bit of research on your own. Like figure out like what is the criteria to get those. Is this just a whiny rich baby trying to get his way? It's like that's what it's coming across as, and I don't like that, and that's why I sit here and I'm like, that's why I wanted to talk about it tonight, because I'm like, this is a bunch of guys that are whining and crying, and then we didn't even get into the fact that like this Jeddah event is pointless because the individual winner is already taken care of. Like this was supposed to be the championship of the individual race.
Yeah.
But because Dustin Johnson started at the very first event, and literally, I mean, he didn't even finish in the top 10 in the last event. And he already locked it up. So there's a flaw in the system already. Then you've got Miami derail. That's going to happen, which is just the teams. And they've already changed the format for this potential TV deal with FS1, which is complete garbage that they have other people that are fighting over it. They do not. Like when you have Apple coming out and Prime, Amazon Prime, and they're saying that we want no part of this, and yet they're fighting over every sport league imaginable. NFL, MLB. I mean, they're giving it away for free, Bobby. Apple TV Plus was giving away the MLB for those Friday spots for free. You didn't have to subscribe to Apple TV Plus. Same thing with Prime Video. You didn't have to subscribe to those. And then Prime Video bought the last month of a lot of the top teams so that if you had Amazon Prime, I was watching the Yankees for an entire final month of the year because Amazon Prime bought those rights to be able to give that to people that didn't have cable subscriptions and so forth. So it's like, if they're not buying into this, then you know that the reports were probably accurate when it comes to FS1 and them trying, like it's not even Fox. We're not even talking about Fox. We're talking about having to pay Fox Sports 1, which is a premium service on cable services in order to get to that. And then they're paying. They're not getting paid for that, for being on an obscure network. They're having to pay to get onto that. And then they come out with their full PR team. And I got to give at least a little bit of credit to the PR team at LIV Golf because they played it right. I mean, they denied everything. They said that, oh, these people don't know what they're talking about. We're in several negotiations, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, you're not. You're in negotiations for one TV contract, and you've had to restructure how you're going to go about your final event. So get this. Final event, Trump derail in Miami.
Great golf course.
Great spot. I mean, the Blue Monster.
They won't rip that up.
Not at all. But the top 4 teams get buys.
Right.
Okay. So they're not even playing the first day.
Right.
The first day is going to be knockout style, and same with the second day, but it's knockout style. And get this, you're going to have 2 individual matches.
Right.
And then you're going to have 1 alternate shot with 2 players.
What is Dustin? Dustin? Well, where is Dustin gonna fucking where do you put fucking fat ass?
Oh, he's going in the alternate shot, Bobby. That's where you put your weakest link. But who's he putting with it? I mean, Patrick Reed's gonna be pissed.
Dustin is not gonna play. I don't see Dustin playing with Pat because Dustin don't put up with those shenanigans and
no, but he isn't even gonna play with Pat. That's the thing. It's the alternate shot. So the captain is going to be in the individual stroke play.
That's Dustin.
Or individual match, and then you're going to have 1 more. So is he going to throw fucking gooch with Pat Perez?
Yes, he has to.
Yeah, he is, because Patrick Reed is going to throw a fucking stinker.
Yeah. So okay. So listen to this. So they get the bye, and then it's knockout, and then after this is over, this next one's over. This Jeddah, which obviously Dustin's team is probably going to be number 1. Did you?
Oh yeah, they're by far.
They pick their opponent. It's not like you're in a bracket.
No, they're in a bracket. They're in a bracket. It's 1 versus 4.
No,
or 1 versus 8.
No, he picks it. He picks who he wants to play. He
No.
picks. You better reread that sheet.
Wow.
He
I
picks
read
who
that
he wants.
entire thing.
Yeah, well, read it again. The
Oh,
record's been
wow.
changed for the
So they
fourth
get to
time.
pick what team they want to
Yeah,
go
he
against.
picks
That's
what team that
bullshit.
he picks what
That's
team that he wants to
shenanigans.
play. Oh my God.
Oh, that's ridiculous. There's
I
no
know.
sports league. Think of the World Series, or not the World Series, but just think of baseball since we're talking about it anyways. You got the
Yeah,
Padres on. I'm a huge Yankees fan. And so we
yeah,
might meet in the World Series. I hope that happens because I don't really want to see the Dodgers. Anyways, if that happened in baseball to where it's like, oh, as the Yankees, we're actually going to select what team we're going to face next. That's
yes,
insane.
I know. So
That
that's
is
what
so ridiculous. If that's true, Bobby,
it is
I'm going to
true.
have an
I'm telling
absolute
you.
soapbox moment on the next episode. Stay
Yeah,
tuned, people, because that will be a soapbox that I might not get off of for 30 minutes. I mean,
right.
I might stand on that soapbox, I might stomp on that soapbox, and I might actually crush some grapes to get wine out of it because
Well,
that soapbox is going to happen for quite
I
some
got a
time.
question. I got a question for you. So Dustin makes the 18 million for being the big kahuna. Wow.
Yeah.
18 fucking million right there. But I'm going to tell you this. Dustin was never in this. You're talking to a guy who stood next to this guy and lived with this guy for 7 years. It was never about his legacy or anything like that. It was always about how much money he could make coming from no money and that kind of stuff.
Got
So
30 mil.
but
Six.
is there when this Jetta thing is over, is there another bonus for the
No.
team or the
Oh, for
it
the
comes
team.
after
So
Doral?
no. So Jeddah is the last event of like the individual stuff.
Yeah, for
So that'll be the
second,
last
third, and
chance
fourth.
for people to get team points as well to get
Right,
into the Miami Doral. So now
right,
it's become very much a team event. It was
yeah,
supposed to be the championship for the individuals, is what it was
right.
supposed to be. And
Gotcha.
then you move into the team championship, which is going to be Miami Doral. And that's where, but get this, the final day.
Yeah,
And I hate to even say this because I'm sitting here going, Bangkok. Where did the Aces finish as a team? Fourth place.
yeah,
They've won 4 in a row, Bobby. They could
right.
have dominated that goddamn golf course, but Bangkok got in the way.
Yeah.
Goddamn
Well,
Bangkok.
can I say something else?
Yeah.
You don't think fucking Miami can get in the way? Peruvian bang bang is everywhere down there.
So, guys, I wouldn't bet on the Aces to take home the title because guess
Dude,
what? That final day, Bobby, 4 everybody plays of every team and it's individual stroke play and the lowest team total out of 4 players is going to win.
yeah,
I bet you,
they could
I will say
lose.
this right now, the Aces will not win this. They
I'm
will
uh,
not
I'm
win it.
I am rooting for you. I have one more, but I got one more question because I'm running on fumes right now. So Dustin's sewn up number one, right? Do
Yeah.
they pay down a bonus structure one all the way down to 48, or is it only like the top three?
So that was just given to the top player who won the
Oh,
series. So
so
that was an
set,
18
so
mil.
okay.
Hey, here you
Because I was trying to
go.
figure out what Perez would get for finishing 42nd. Would he get like 100 grand or something like
Nah,
that? Or
nah, there's no money going there. Like this dude's just he's banking on the fact that he's been on the best team so far, and
and
that he
he's
hasn't been kicked off or
yeah,
relegated yet
yeah,
because
yeah.
relegation is coming.
Relegation coming soon, and I won't get invited to that party, but I sure want to see it streamed live. Old Miss Plastic Fantastic with her fucking food poisoning ain't gonna be too happy when hubby got to go to fucking go over there and play in wherever Thailand or wherever they play
Yeah, I
$3 million.
mean all over the place.
I'm curious.
Thank God they got the Mina tour.
I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna pay attention. I don't pay. I scroll down their leaderboard and that kind of stuff, and I'll watch a little bit. Obviously, I couldn't watch anybody because it was in Bangkok and the time difference with Vegas and everything like that. But this Doral one, I mean, I think I'm gonna take a sneak peek in and
It's
give
going
you.
to be interesting, but there are 4 better players on
Yeah,
other teams
yeah,
than the 4 players on Aces, which is why I don't see them winning. Like they have done a very good job of ham and egging it because first 2 days you just need
yeah,
2 players.
yeah,
On
yeah.
that final day you just need 3. So guess what? Your 4th
You
player
got
can shit the
press.
bed all the way through and it doesn't matter. But that final fucking day
Yeah,
of that championship, you need all 4 players to come through. And
yeah,
guess what I'm calling? I'm calling that the Aces do not. They are they're the team that dominates throughout the regular season, and then you get into the playoffs and lose in the first round.
Who's on that Chikara team? It's the Latinos, right?
Oh, yeah, that's Sergio.
It's Chikara, it's Sergio.
That's Ortiz.
Is Abe on that team too? Abe Answer?
It's Ortiz, Answer, Sergio, and Chikara. Like, that's a legit squad.
No, that's straight legit. Yeah. No, that's straight legit right there because, you know, Dustin's Dustin. Okay, Dustin's Dustin. He's head and shoulders the big kahuna, you know. But when you go to like number 3 and number 4, I mean, Taylor Gooch is a stud, but he's hit or miss too. Yeah. I mean, Patrick Reed's, you know, is a stud and that kind of stuff. But number 4 against number 4, who would be number 4? I mean, number 4
Chikara against fucking Pat Perez. Who are you taking?
Does Pat get 2 aside or 3 aside or anything like that? Does he get any pops?
You know, that might be the next thing LIV considers. They've done beer carts out there at some of the events with cart girls. They might go to a handicap
Fuck
system.
me. It just hit me. Another Trumpy tournament. Go figure. This thing being political. Another fucking Trumpy tournament. All right. That's
Bobby. Yes. That's where we'll end it for tonight, my friend. You have survived Las Vegas. You have survived Disney World. You went back-to-back weeks. It's been tough for you. Get some rest. I need some rest as well.
I'm not going to get rest because it's on because
what's the score, Bobby?
It's 5-3, and it's 5.
Who's winning?
The bottom of the 8th. The Padres, because the Padres can play now. But listen to this. My man is this is I'm going to be very moody tomorrow because taking my kids to school because the Japan tournament that I'm going to turn on now is on from 11, starts at 11. It just started an hour ago, 11 to 3. So I'm going to fall asleep. I'm going to fall asleep watching this.
Oh, it's on Peacock, Bobby. I'm watching Peacock.
Can I give you an off golf suggestion for all our people out there? Man, I saw this thing on ESPN last night when I couldn't sleep called the Redeem Team. Have you heard about it? So, you know, we got smoked in the basketball Olympics.
Yes.
Watch it. Everybody watch it with Kobe and LeBron and Melo and everything like that. Watch the Redeem Team.
Did you hear Kobe's quote on that? Kobe's quote when he was there, he goes, "I'm sick of seeing you guys lose, which is the only reason I'm coming back."
Listen, I'm going to tell you one thing. There is, I don't want to give up too much, but who was his best buddy on the Lakers? Was it Gasol? That he played with?
So he played with Gasol. I mean, he played with a lot of guys, but yeah.
Okay, but he was tight with, I think he was tight with Gasol. I just want everybody to watch this Redeem Team and see what Kobe does in the first 30 seconds of the fucking first game against those guys. And that's all I got. Bobby B out.
Yeah, because they played this. They played
them. Yeah, they were teammates. But they played against each other. And just watch this. It's one of the better ones. And I'm a self-proclaimed connoisseur on these ESPN things.
We're getting Bobby all amped up over here. Bobby's competitive as shit. He thought he was just like moving into a nice little like soft little bubble that he was in. No, Bobby is back. Bobby is competitive as shit. And guess what, folks? His San Diego Padres have a chance. They have a chance because get this, people. We're gonna end it with this. Manny Machado ran out.
That ground ball last night, and
game changer. Game changer.
And then I'm gonna end on what am I gonna end on? 2 things. We are gonna start dropping on Wednesdays. These last 2 weeks were my fault, folks. That's all I'm gonna say.
Wow, what a good guy you are, Bobby.
Yeah, they were my fault, not Matt Cook. He's got my show notes and my log into Zoom and everything like fucking 2 weeks ahead of time, and I can't even be on time. And I'm the responsible one. Everybody knows that watched from the start. I'm way more responsible than Mike Perez. I love you, Mike. Have a great night.
Have a good night, everybody.
Okay, see you, buddy.
Thank you for tuning in to Season 2 of the Pull Hook Golf Podcast. Make sure to hit subscribe and go to www.pullhookgolf.com